Hello there and welcome back to my channel. So today I am reviewing The Suicide Squad from 2016 because I never saw it. I skipped it because of it. I heard so many people complain about it and give such bad reviews. They said it wasn't what they expected and the hype was too big. So I never got around to seeing it. But then Birds of Prey came out and I really enjoyed that one. So a couple days ago I figured it would be really fun to just go to Best Buy and see if they had it, and I did, and I watched it and I actually really liked it. This is the DVD that I have. It's the extended cut and that's awesome. I think that it's so much better that way. I love whenever you can, buy extended versions of things, and I love the color scheme of this movie and the poster and like the pinks and the turquoise and the blue and purple and green. And it's just awesome all the way around. So I'm more of a DC fan because of like Superman and Batman and Joker and Harley Quinn, and just Gotham is so iconic. And as much as I like Marvel, I haven't really seen any of those movies. So yeah, I went into this movie with super low expectations, not expecting anything out of it, and maybe that helped in why I liked it so much, but I ended up thinking that it was a great movie, one of the best ones, one of my favorite ones. It's a great action movie, and it's better than just a regular superhero movie, and it's more relatable. With that being said, let's review Suicide Squad from 2016.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know.
So Suicide Squad is about a bunch of anti-heroes or villains that are, in the DC universe that are in prison and caught, and some crisis is going on in the city, and because of that, this detective or cop, Amanda Waller, tries to get this group together and use them to be able to fight because they would do things that heroes wouldn't normally do and be aggressive more. I immediately love the concept of that. The reason I like villains and antagonists is because they have so much more of a backstory, and they're imperfect and they're just people. And one of the reasons why Harley Quinn is one of my favorite characters is because she starts off normal and as a regular person, as a psychiatrist and a doctor, mind you. Like, she's smart, she's intricate, and she was a person, and that's what draws me in and is so interesting to me about her specifically, is the switch and the change between who she was and who she is, and it's like there's still a part of her that is that, but she can never go back. And so it's sad to see where all of these people are, and I think they do a really good job with the cast. I love the fire guy, El Diablo, I think that something like that was what his name was. He was so nice. He was like one of the best people in the group, that he was like a pacifist and he didn't want to fight. I really loved that aspect. And Will Smith's character was obviously really funny and cool, and he had that like poise about him where he, never misses a shot. A lot of people's problem with this movie is the pacing, and they don't care for it. They don't like the story that's being told. They say that there's too much that's rushed and too much that's not enough. I personally happen to really like the way that they did it. I love the setup and the introduction. We go right into it, and the best way for me, obviously, to go into this movie is by being introduced, because I don't know any of these people, I don't know this world, and I always think it's fun to have that sort of like setup in the beginning, and they do that where like they meet each of the characters and they give them a little interesting title card and a background and a history, and they spend 4 or so minutes like fleshing out the character. Personally, I think when they do stories like that it works really well. Something that isn't the best about this movie is that because it's rated PG-13, they wanted to, kind of play it safer. There's lines in it that aren't as, cool as they could be, and just, violence restrictions that they couldn't go through. That's one of the things I liked about Birds of Prey, is they say fuck a lot, and there's like, she breaks people's legs, and the action scenes are just so packed full of like, I don't know, it's just so fun to watch. And this one still has that too. It's, from 4 years ago, so even though it doesn't seem like a big thing, like 4 years ago there were still restrictions that you couldn't do that you can do now. I find myself obviously liking Harley Quinn's character the best. She's the most interesting to watch. Every time she's on screen, I just love it. Her attitude, the way she psychoanalyzes everybody there and plays with people. Every time she opens up her mouth, it's hilarious. Her dialogue is iconic. Her voice, her attitude, the way she goes about things, she's so clever. One of the best aspects of this movie to me is I loved the dynamic between the Joker and Harley. Now, the Joker's mostly in flashbacks, and that's another thing I like about this movie is Harley's flashbacks to her past life and things like that. That was a really great way to do exposition on the character because those moments felt like they really happened to me. People are triggered by things and they have memories come back to them like that, and we get to experience that for her, and that's awesome. But, Jared Leto, I actually have to give him such props because I've just been memorized by watching him do this performance and watching him on the screen. He was so good. And this is after I've seen, The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises and a couple other Batman movies and Joker. So honestly, I think he's might be my favorite or one of my favorite portrayals of the Joker. Just the way he looked and his acting and his voice and the way he portrayed him. I just thought it was so good. They feel like real people in this. It feels achievable. In some of the other DC movies, and that's kind of the thing with Marvel, is that everything feels so superhero, that happens in a whole other world. I don't know why, but just Suicide Squad to me felt like it could be taking place here. He didn't feel like some sort of unrealistic villain. He felt like a drug gangster, like someone who is in a mafia or a mob or something and, runs guns and hijacks shit and does, political terrorism because of his reasons, if you've seen the Joker. Anyway, it's just so good, and one of my favorite things that he says is, I am not someone who is loved. I'm an idea. And that, I don't know, that really got to me, and it just shows his, psychoticness, and it shows Harley's as well, how their crazies match each other, but they're both so intense in different ways that they complement each other, but butt heads at the same time, and it's such a great, like I said, dynamic to see, in a big screen movie. To me, this is a feel-good movie. It's fun, it's action-packed, the scenes are emotional. There are a couple of times, several in fact, maybe 5 or 6 times, where I found myself tearing up and being emotional at what happened and what the characters were doing for each other. And oh my goodness, when we're doing the backstories about all of the people that are in, the Suicide Squad, and it's really sad actually. And when they're, having the fantasies and their minds being tricked at the end about what they really want, I think that that's super sad. Something that's really interesting about this movie to me is the fact that the whole witch thing was going on, that they tried to use her and that she broke out, the Enchantress. That was really very interesting. I was interested by that character a lot, and her escape kind of makes sense, and her doing what she does obviously is the main conflict of the movie. And I just thought that, what a perfectly good villain, female driven, and then relying on her brother and this whole entity of, the thing that walks the earth for so many years before us, and she'll probably be here after us, and how menacing she is and how close she is to, becoming successful. So I think I've said it a couple of times, but this movie is fun, and some of my favorite scenes are when they're all getting dressed, and I love Harley putting on her outfit, and her dialogue between Will Smith, and just the score of this movie, so good, and the Eminem track playing in the background is so funny, but it's so it hits hard. It's so good. I personally love it. The way that they did this movie was awesome. Just like all villains, eventually the mask has to come off. Yeah, I had a really fun time with this movie, and there are so many things about it that I think work. The whole group effort and the way that they are pacing the scenes and how they direct it. There are so many camera shots that I personally loved, and how they're coming down the alley and spreading away and trying to figure out a way to escape. I thought that was a really brilliant scene. I liked how the characters interact with each other. I like their energies and their chemistry, how they play off of each other. One of the interesting parts for me was whenever they were testing out the bombs in their necks, and I think that that was a really smart way to be able to keep them in track and obviously not have them get out of control. And whenever the other guy was like, dude, this is total BS, escape with me, and he's, conning the other guy into trying to see if it's real, and then they blow him up and it kills him, and then they're like, damn, guess we really can't go nowhere. Like, we better not test these people again. But they still do constantly, and it's so fun. And watching the Joker kind of be there for Harley and trying to break her out so many times and bust her away and have her saying, "Puddin'," oh my god, it's the best. And, oh, that's another thing, is when they were in the helicopter, I thought that was a really sweet moment. You know, even though like their domestic abusive relationship is hard, it's weird how it's horrible and sweet at the same time. But when the helicopter shakes and they get separated and Harley's falling out in slow motion, I feel so sad and so bad for her. And I thought the Joker really died. I don't know why. I guess I really just thought that was the end of him. And she goes back to the squad and they accept her in, and that was another part that was really sweet, is because even though that she flaked, like they must know what she's going through, especially like being with the Joker and stuff. So I like that they had their own kind of like language with each other, especially Harley Quinn and Will Smith's character Deadshot. Also, another one of my favorite parts is whenever they're transferring them all and she's like, "Harley Quinn, nice to meet ya," and the Katana threatens to kill them with the blade, and she's like, "She seems nice." Just the small pieces of humor that are sprinkled throughout this movie, I thought they worked pretty well. And I'm gonna have a lot of fun whenever I go into watching it again and picking up things that I didn't catch the second time around that I didn't see the first time. Now, I keep talking about Harley a lot, but that's because she's one of the main parts about this, film, and all of her flashback scenes I think are the greatest. And a way that's really interesting to keep intriguement in the story is the flashbacks of her being, the doctor, and she's pulling up and she's trying to chase the Joker down, and she's like, "A heart scares you, but a gun doesn't," and just trying to convince him, like, "Let me in." And then they don't show you or tell you how we get to the acid, bin part. But then later in a flashback, that comes up, and, I want to know, like, there's so much about their background that I don't know that I want to know, and I think that they did that in a good way. And showing the acid scene is so, like, emotional and, crazy, because he was going to leave her there and he manipulated her into doing it. But she was like, she believed him. She's like, "I'll give my life for you." And she steps off and he saves her at the end. He jumps in after her. And so that just really goes to show, like, the twisted effect of the way that they interact with each other, and they kind of codepend on each other, and it is an addiction. That's why I think is a great thing about Birds of Prey, is Harley being able to come into her own. Whenever it gets to the ending of the movie, I think it's kind of sad whenever, Deadshot and his daughter have their whole little heart-to-heart thing, but I'm glad he at least got to see her and she got to know the truth about him. It kind of sucks that they all end up back in jail, but it's like, that's where they started, and they knew what they were getting into whenever they were going about it for the first time. And then we get that last little second of Harley in her espresso machine, and she's so happy, and then the wall busts in. I was completely taken off guard, like, by surprise. And all of the people start going around, and I was like, "Oh no, what's happening?" And then it took me about 2 seconds after that, and I was like, "It's the Joker." I was like, "It's the Joker's people or something." And then the guard that comes in real slow, and I could just tell. I was like, "Yep, Joker." And he takes the thing off, and she's like, "Aw, Puddin'," and they go away. It's great. Another flashback is whenever the Batman is chasing them and she's in the car with Harley and Joker. The car is so beautiful. I'd love to have a car like that. The Joker just seems so cool to me in this one, but so frightening at the same time. Like, I'd be scared to love him, but there's also a part of me that kind of like wants to hang out with him. Anyway, it's really weird. So yeah, all in all, I thought this movie was a good movie. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably rate it like 8 or 8.5. I had a great time watching it. Like I said, I can't wait to watch it again in the future. It's a great ensemble cast. It's a great anti-hero, villain-centered story, and I think that's what makes it really unique and special, is the differences between them, and they are flawed, and they are more relatable, and they are human, and they do things that I like more than just a normal superhero movie. And so I don't know why or what about it, everything about this movie just hit me in certain ways that, like, the Amazing Spider-Mans didn't, or the original Spider-Mans, or Iron Man, and some of the other Marvel movies, and some of the other, Dark Knight. That was one of my favorites, especially because Anne Hathaway with Catwoman. That was good. I don't know. DC's Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad are probably my top two from them right now, and my top like action movies, because for whatever reason or language that they speak to me, they just do. So yeah, let me know what you think. Do you like this one? Were you upset about it when it first came out? Have you come around to it? Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've seen Birds of Prey or if you plan to. What do you think is going to happen in Suicide Squad 2? Is that going to take place after, you know, this Suicide Squad and before Birds of Prey? Like, is the Joker going to be in it? Where are we going to be with Harley and her timeline? I'm really interested to know that. They have a lot of potential, and I'm really happy that I'm getting into all of this now. Anyway, stick around and check out some of my other videos, and thanks for watching.